No, I'm here with Jayne Bok, CAIA board member, old friend, and the head of investments for Asia for WTW. As we've been talking about, there's a buzz about our TPA paper these last few days, and WTW, as I described yesterday, was kind of standing over the petri dish in the early 2000s in Auckland and Melbourne, kind of planting some of the seedlings of what we now call TPA. Tell us just a little bit about that experience.
I think it's a bit of a cross-pollination, right? You can't really claim to be the actual starter of everything, but I think we all talk to each other, we learn from each other, and in that process, TPA was born. I can't remember who coined the term first, but I think probably by about 2010, there were more people using the term, and we were definitely thrilled to see that because the thinking was embedded in the way we built portfolios. We wanted people to be have diverse portfolios, but not just diversity in terms of asset class buckets, which we had already through GFC experienced that was just not going to work, right? I think that was a really big learning experience for us. The fact that you had to look through portfolios and focus on risk factors, we needed a better framework to think about asset allocation.
Well, WTW, again, as I said yesterday, has kind of rode shotgun through this entire journey that has been TPA's coming of age. Yesterday, it's hard to always pick a favorite, but I thought, Jayne, you moderated the very best panel. It was our opening panel. It was with our co-authors and partners on this TPA journey, which was New Zealand Super, Future Fund, GIC, and CPP Investments, some small asset allocators, right? Was there anything surprising or a particular soundbite you really enjoyed from that time?
First off, John, thanks so much for getting us all together. Working on the paper was a huge thrill for me. I think particularly because when you have been working with these funds for such a long time and watching the evolution, but then to have us all come together one place and talk about what we've learned through the process, because oftentimes you only see your own journey, right? You don't see it concurrently, and I think that's really what it was. The fact that I was hearing so much of the same thing, in a good way. There were a lot of echoes of similarities. The fact that we were able to identify 4 common dimensions, that in itself was a discovery. Because if you looked at it on a standalone basis, you could say that each of these institutions have such different models, right? But I think the paper really does a great job of explaining those 4 dimensions. And I think what struck me the most actually was less about the people on stage who I'm familiar with, but actually what I was hearing from the audience about the difficulties around delegation and governance. That was both comforting as well as worrying. I think comforting from the point of view that a lot of my clients in Asia have the same problem. So yes, it's great that we have this common denominator, but I guess a little bit worrying in that maybe it is going to be difficult, and my piece is about implementation, you know this, John, so it will be a bit difficult to move from this traditional SAA approach to a TPA approach. I guess maybe the metaphor that I want to leave with people is if you're a swimmer, right, and you're a decent swimmer. In fact, you're comfortable in water, no issues whatsoever, you can do your freestyle, but if you wanted to up your game, you'll have to unlearn that stroke and learn a new stroke, a new way of doing it if you actually want to move beyond what being a competent swimmer to being an excellent swimmer. And I think that's really what it is. You're not changing the fact that you're swimming or doing a freestyle, but you have to learn how to modify your stroke. You have to relearn ways of doing things, and that's the way I would describe TPA.
Oh, that's a good word. It was Tiger Woods in '99 after winning 4 straight majors, redesigned his swing. So even the very best need to rethink and reset. So Jayne, it's such a pleasure as always to work with you. Thanks for your leadership on this, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.